Making plays, open J's, and the open run. If we talking about breaks and shooters filling lanes, all my dogs is down for war. You can tell how they train. Coaches coach and players play, but they learn from each other. If the roles are versus Jason Kidd, we assist one another. Making strides for a ship in the regular season, lacing up these Knights of Band of Brothers, turning into some demons. Through the season, through the fall, we gon' see who was working. When the winner hit the surface, gon' see who deserve it. The competition in the dust, now the opposite deserted. Only lions in my circle, we hungry for purpose. Nothing you can see that I earned them. Can't buck the system, take the knowledge, you study and learn it. Me and Trouble says the weakest 1 through 12 is equal. Tried to trap me, saw it now. You know I had to thread the needle. I had to thread the needle, try erase and draw it up, just trying to see my youngins eating. Yeah.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Coaches Show for the coaches, by the coaches. Today we have Coach from Prince George's County, the 4A division, Coach George McClure. What's going on, Coach McClure?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Everything is good. Right? All is well. Coach, we about to get started early, with the questions and everything, because a few things, with this, what we're doing, we're just trying to pick the brains of what we consider great coaches throughout the DMV. Everybody that coaches in our area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, we do a great job with our student athletes. And it's a job that's not for everybody, but I think a lot of people think that it's an easy job to do, but we want to give them a little bit more insight from a head coach perspective on how we do things. And we just want to start off with the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Coach George McClure? And so the people out there can know.
Coach George McClure, son of a coach, from Baltimore originally. Went to University of Maryland. When I went to Maryland, I just kind of stayed in Prince George's County and really never left. I've seen the game change quite a bit. Started off as a JV coach at Northwestern, actually while still attending Maryland. And from Northwestern, I got the head job at Bowie. And then from Bowie, I got the job at Flowers. And I left Flowers to go to Suitland because I wanted to be an athletic director also. So, I've been around, I've been around the track a few times, and I've definitely seen a lot of changes in the game. And, I think what you all are doing is I like this because it's just something for coaches to have a voice. And I'm an old head now. And, some of these, you all younger dudes, like when Coach Kamara reached out to me, I was like, good, because I want to make sure I stay connected with coaches on all levels, for high school.
All right, and another question that people want to know, and myself included, because I know you just said you're an old head, and when I think about it, it really don't seem like it's been that long ago. You look at the coaches that we have in our division. How many years have you actually been on the sidelines coaching basketball?
Actually, I coached just period since I was like 19.
Right.
When I was in Baltimore, I would commute back and forth and coach my high school, Woodlawn High School. I would coach their summer team, and Baltimore had leagues like BNBL and Project Survival and those kind of things. They were big in Baltimore. So when I got a chance to coach one of those, it was a big deal. And then that kind of led into me coaching at high school. But yeah, I'm coming up on almost 30 years. So it's been long. It's been good. Met a lot of kids, a lot of coaches. But yeah, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that because I had to think about it too when I started coaching. A lot of times, for me, coaching to me, the longevity of it, you see yourself. You don't know when the day gonna come when you might need to, get to another position or coaching like that. And you said you wanted to be an athletic director. What steps did you take to be an athletic director?
Well, initially I wasn't sure if I wanted to, what direction I wanted to go. But once I got my master's, I wanted to do something different. By the time I finished that, initially I wanted to be an assistant principal, and I still might, go down that road one day. But by the time I got to the end of my master's, I wasn't sure if I was quite ready for that. And at that time, in about 08-ish, they were talking about making the athletic director's position an administrative position. But then budget cuts came, and when I first took over as an AD, we were full time. That's another thing that enticed me, was that I got a chance to get out the classroom. And so my first 2 years, life was sweet, and no classes, and but then things changed, and budget cuts came, and so I was in the AD's role, and that's that's just kind of what led me there. I can't hear you, Coach.
Yeah, I had a technical difficulty. Okay. That's great to hear that. I'm gonna pass you over to Coach Will Maynard from Southern High School.
Hey, Coach. Nice. Well, I've talked to you a few times. I don't really know you too well, but I had the honor to be on the sideline when I was a JV coach and a varsity assistant to coach against your Suitland teams. And man, you guys were loaded. You guys had Roddy and Nico and 2 offensive tackles. I mean, man, you guys had some squads, man.
Yeah.
And I remember that. So tell us about your high school experience. I mean, did you play, or were you one of those guys that was just knew he was going to be a coach from day one?
Well, I'm the son of a coach. My dad was my high school coach at Woodlawn. And so I can't say I always knew I was going to be a coach. When you're younger, everybody wants to make money. And, going into college, I knew teachers weren't making, both my parents were teachers, educators. So I knew you weren't going to get rich teaching. So, I had dreams like everybody else of going to college and being a business major. But, I got immersed in Maryland, and things just kind of went in a different direction. And I think I just thought my calling was teaching. And then I love basketball. And I thought the best way to stay in, and the best way to be a high school coach was to teach. So, that's just what kind of drew me in there. Probably, Coach, can you see me? Because my thing switched out on. Can you still see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, because it switched out on. I thought that was just the best way for me to have the best of both worlds, is to teach and to coach. So that's kind of what got me into it.
So did you ever want to pursue coaching in college?
I did at first. And when I was a younger coach, everybody has big dreams. My original dream was to maybe coach high school 5 or 6 years. And, when you start off, coach, everybody, your dreams are high. My first year I ever coached high school, I coached Northwestern JV, and we went 20-0. At that time, you couldn't tell me I wasn't the next John Thompson. So I just knew I had it all figured out. I said, I'll do this for a couple years, and, then I'll, move on to college. But then I got to a point where I'd been teaching for a while, and I had some buddies in coaching, and they were having good experiences, but they were telling me, be careful, because it's not always what it seems. So I thought about it, and even had an opportunity. By the time the opportunity came to me, I was pretty much had a family and all that. So I just was like, I thought the window had kind of closed. But I definitely had college aspirations at one time.
Was there any particular level that you wanted to pursue coaching college, or you just wanted to coach at that next level?
Like all young dudes, I wanted to just get my foot in the door, and we all, you got to believe in yourself. So I figured, I would just move up the ladder. But I wasn't sitting there saying I wanted to coach Division I, Division II. But I just thought I wanted to maybe get into college because it was just the next step, or just because I love the game.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. And we're going to pass it along to Chuck Henry of Fairmont Heights High School.
All right.
What's up, Coach? How you doing, man?
What's up, Coach?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man. I'm going to tell you this. So you and I haven't had the opportunity to really, truly sit down and talk a whole lot, but I'm a big fan of yours.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that because I grew up in Forestville, and I see what you have done with the program. And a lot of people from afar don't realize how many kids you have gotten into school. And so, when they talk about different programs, not often enough does Suitland come up, and not often enough does George McClure come up in those conversations about some of the top coaches in the area, man. And I'm going to let you know me, a young dude, that I look up to you in regards to what you do and what you have brought to PG County Public Schools, the DMV, just all the different young men, you know, that you have mentored. So, man, I wanted to make sure I said that to you before we even got started.
Well,
so I guess my question to you is, having been a guy who's been in this so long, if you had to give sort of a State of the Union address for PG County Public Schools, what would it sound like for basketball?
For basketball, I would say that the game is changing. It just seems like in the county, we've just lost more and more talent to private schools. You know, it was a time, I'm not necessarily from Prince George's County, but it seemed like it was a time where the privates got, you know, they always were going to get their share of talent, but then the county got their share of talent as well. And it just seems like it's harder and harder. And some of it is not a knock on AAU, but with so many AAU teams and programs for, you know, AAU coaches to reach out to private school coaches and that kind of thing, it just seems like we just losing some talent. But, you know, Prince George's County is always going to be Prince George's County. It's always going to be talent here. You know, you got to bring it every night in the county, whether it's 4A or 3A or 2A. And, you know, one of the things I think we've always prided ourselves on in the county is sometimes some of the teams at the bottom half of our leagues in other areas would do well. And, you know, it's just a dog fight in our league. No matter what your classification, you're going to have to bring it every night. You know, we've had some down years, past couple of years of Suitland, but you know, looking at our record, you would know we've been in games every night. It's just a tough league, you know. So, you know, I look at the young coaches and I feel like the county's in good hands coaching wise. Coach, I really like that you coach. Some of the other coaches have really started a coach association, because when I was at Flowers as the basketball coach, Coach Mayo was the football coach. And he was really instrumental in running the Football Coaches Association. Mm-hmm. And I used to sit there and watch the things that they got done as a coaches association. And even now, I can tell you as an athletic director that when they make certain moves towards football, they know they're going to have to deal with the Football Coaches Association. So that's why I'm glad that the Basketball Coaches Association seems to be picking up steam, because I've seen it. This is how old I am. I've seen two different groups try to do the Coach Association, and it just didn't work out. So this is the longest that I've seen it sustained, and it's really needed. It's definitely needed. You know, when you all sent out and you put the challenge together, that stuff is needed to grow the brand of basketball in Prince George's County. And it's needed so that basketball isn't just pushed to the side, because you got to believe me when I tell you, the powers that be know when they make certain moves for football, they're going to get a call from their coach association. That coach association carries some weight because of this longevity, how they put things together like all-star games, and how because of that association, they've helped some kids get into school. So one of the big things I've seen happen in the last couple of years is the Coaches Association. Like I said, I'm an older guy. And, you know, you all, you pushing it in the right direction. That is definitely needed. I've always wanted to tell you that.
No, I appreciate that, Coach. So I got a follow-up question for you. Just kind of backing up a little bit. Some of the guys that you've kind of modeled yourself after, just, you know, idolized growing up as a coach. I know you said your dad was a coach. Tell me some of the guys that you have modeled your coaching style after. Name me some of the guys that you like now that are great coaches within just our county, and then tell me some of the guys that you think are possibly the future of PG County Public Schools moving forward.
I guess, you know, I got to start with my own father. My father was a Southern country boy from South Carolina, and really baseball was his sport. But, you know, what I watched about him coaching-wise was that kids would run through a wall for him. So while his knowledge base was really stronger for baseball, The fact that he could get kids to just play so hard for him was the biggest thing that, I took from him. When I was at Northwestern, one of the assistants with me was Bob Patterson. He was coach at Blade for a couple years, and he was assistant at the Mather. X's and O's, I probably learned more from him than anybody. He sharp mind. I probably still have some of the stuff that he taught me, back in the 90s in place. But getting to the coaches now, I think all the coaches are strong. I love when the coaches are committed. I see so many of them have social media and all that's needed because you have to keep up with the time. And sometimes I'm a little resistant to it. I probably was one of the last people to really get on social media and that kind of thing. But the young coaches are pushing things in the right direction. I mean, you always got to show your props to Lou Wilson. He just won so many games. What else can you say? And one of the things I've always admired about Lou is just his commitment from being an AAU coach also to he just loves the game, running summer leagues and all that. I love all the coaches that love the game, that don't like the game, that love the game. And I can tell by following some of them on social media, just seeing what they're writing and all that kind of stuff. Like when Coach hit me up for this, I told my own son, who's, he plays high school basketball. I told him, I said, I'm glad they asked me to be on here just because I like to see these kind of ideas. So it's, I got to watch saying with, I don't want anybody in bulletin board material, so I'm not going to point out too many of them, but the county's in good hands. And, and I can tell you being around so long that there's some good coaches that you can't necessarily tell because of their record, because I know some of these coaches are maximizing what they have. So it's county coaches are, it's a good group of coaches. You got to be prepared every night.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, well, Coach, I appreciate your time, man. So I'm going to pass it over to Coach John from Parkdale High School.
Hey, what's going on, Coach?
What's going on?
Well, my question is definitely attached to a story. It's more of a personal question. We played this year. I think it was the second game. It was at Suitland High School, and I was calling the inbound play. And you looked at me, and then you looked at your players. It was under your basket, closer to your bench, and you basically called out my play. So I just looked back, and I was like, damn. And then, so at that moment, it was just like a sense of respect, like just respecting you on a high level as a coach. Like you took the time out of your practice the day before or whatever your game plan was, that your team knew exactly what my team was doing. I just had a sense of appreciation. Like neither of our teams was at the top of the conference this year, but at that point, I knew you took your time to game plan. And then I believe the next day, you guys played against Friendly at Fairmont High School, and I had walked past after my game, and you was in the huddle, and you did like a similar thing. Like, well, you guys, you already know they're about to go to whatever play they was about to run. So my question to you is, how do you go about game planning each night, for any particular coach, any particular team? Because I definitely seen that.
Like a lot of people, huddle changed the game. It makes it easier, even though we don't necessarily exchange tape like football. Football is just a different animal. They just here's what we run, that. A basketball coach, I know I'm not the only one that says, man, y'all just give each other, that has always just blown me away. Football coaches say, here's what I got. But at the same time, huddles change things. But, also a lot of schools put their games on YouTube. And like when we played Friendly, the guy who was supposed to scout Friendly for me had an emergency and couldn't. And I really was like, man, we're not going to be prepared for this game. But I looked up there like 4 or 5 games on YouTube. So I guess that's just the old head in me. Like, goodness, people just put all that stuff on that. I mean, it's almost funny. I'm like, man, you can see it at the end of the season. But, man, I'm struggling over here. I got to keep all my stuff, under wraps till we actually play. But, I guess some of the older dudes I coached under just kind of still just be as prepared as you can. And, for me, the past few years, I haven't had any choice but to be as prepared as we possibly can because, the talent hadn't necessarily been even with other schools. So you just try to give your team the best chance possible. That's about all you can do. And if you've done that and put your team in position to win, whether or not, then the kids got to take it from there. So, it's just old head trying to be prepared. Hell, it probably was luck. So, just the way it goes sometimes.
Okay, definitely appreciate that. I'm going to pass it to Coach Will. It's a similar question that you previously already answered, but he's just going to follow up on the question really quick.
Yes, Coach. I'm just wondering, who's the one team or one coach in your league that you guys got to have a perfect practice the day before? Like we got to be on our P's and Q's to beat this team.
Well, I think all coaches would. I think just about all coaches in the league would say Roosevelt, just because you have to respect what they've done. I mean, they've been to the mountaintop and back several times. You can say for whatever reason this and that, but like I say, I don't really like pointing out one team over another, because all the coaches run their stuff, and if you aren't prepared, then it is what it is. But you just look at records, and how could you not say Roosevelt just because they've won so much and their level has been so high? But because you gotta aspire for something. So, but that's not to say we don't. The past few years, I felt that just about every night. Hell, if we don't have a perfect practice, we're not even gonna be in the game. So it's I say them just because of their wins, and I'm sure nobody on here would take offense to it. It's no different than when O walked in there with them 2 6'7", 6'8" dudes. I don't know where in the hell he got them from. It's no different than playing against all these coaches. So it's you say Rose just because they've won. I mean, it's just that simple in that point. But Coach Will, I follow you too. I know you're good friends with Coach Ox, and that's kind of our third party. But I watch your success, and I definitely peep what you do on social media and shouting out your kids and that kind of thing. And I like I keep saying, you young coaches, boy, you make me have to pick it up. Man, I'm like, man, I don't need no Twitter account on it, but I sometimes I gotta go on there and recognize kids, and it just keeps me on my toes. So every night's a battle, but Coach, I did want I definitely keep up. Like I said, we don't necessarily talk as much, but through third parties, I definitely keep up with you.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot coming from an OG like you. And my other question is, how do you prepare for your opponent? Like, if you had Parkdale coming up tomorrow, like, what would you guys do the day before in practice? Like, how would you break it down?
So, one of the things I mentioned, the guy, Coach Patterson, I learned a lot from him. And, he would say that Morgan Wooten would always say, if you can make a team break from their normal practice procedure to focus on something that you do, that's a win in some ways. And so then the fine line becomes what they do that you're going to take some time out of your practice to work on, compared to refining what you need to do well, because it's still basketball at the end of the day, and the kids got to co-perform and that kind of thing. So it kind of comes down to who you playing on a given day. Like Coach, some teams you play twice, so the second time you play them, and practice is going to be a little bit different, but there's no rocket science to this. If you see a team's strengths and you focus on them, if they're more of a man-to-man team, of course you're going to practice more man-to-man stuff. But again, it goes down to, so what are we going to be doing on defense? Do we need to spend more time in that against them? Because we play zone, but they shoot the lights out. So each practice is a little different. I'm not telling you all nothing, nothing you all don't know, because I've coached against just about all of you, and you all are always prepared. So I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything like that.
We appreciate that butt whooping you gave us down Southern in that Christmas tournament, man.
Oh, you on that? That was my first year there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a JV assistant, but I was sitting on the bench, because remember we played that following year at Bowie State when Roddy hit that shot at the buzzer.
Right. So who was the head coach that year? The
My
dude
AD.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray Bowen. Yeah,
So I
AD.
knew him. So that's how we got invited. I went to Maryland with him because he was a big
Oh,
lacrosse guy. If my
yeah,
memory serves me correctly. Yeah,
yeah.
and like I had gotten the job because a lot of people don't know I didn't go to Suitland necessarily as a basketball. I went as the AD, and then right when I got over at the beginning of the season, the guy didn't want to come to the build something. I just took it. My batteries had kind of been recharged, but we picked that up like right before the season started. I got in touch with Ray somehow, and yeah, that was I do remember Nico had pretty good. He had pretty good game, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
forget.
yeah, 30
Yeah,
some points. Yeah, he did have pretty good. I remember that game. That was a good game.
yeah. So yeah, it was. I was like, because Duval was in the tournament, and
Yep.
it was kind of weird. We played them, but you usually don't play camp, but that's why I kind of remembered it. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
still a well-run tournament though too. So
Appreciate that.
yeah.
I'm gonna pass it on to Desmond Wade of Blake High School.
Coach, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, Coach?
Ain't nothing, man. First, I'm gonna start out by saying thank you, man. Being a kid that played in PG County, man, I kept up with you the whole time. So thank you for what you're doing for the game. Secondly, I'm gonna say people don't know. Fun fact: my longest game ever has been against you.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, Coach, tell them how many overtimes we played.
Man, we played in about 5 overtimes. No
It
over
was
exaggeration.
5.
Man, we had about I probably had like 4 players left. I want to say you might have had 3.
I had 3. We finished the game 4. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Never anything like it. Never.
Man, that kind of set that was like my first or second year. So that kind of set the stage. Like, man, these dudes really know what they doing. Like, so definitely, man. So my question is, when a kid first walks into a Coach McClure's gym, and he's trying to commit to your program, what's your goal for that kid?
When a kid first comes in, it's kind of hard to say what your goal is, but I know long term, a kid has to be committed. And, the commitment word is thrown around, but for high school coaches now, the commitment piece is a little different because you're fighting against an AAU coach and maybe a trainer and that kind of thing. But for any team, any sport, any program to have any kind of success, you got to have committed kids. And, so if a kid wants me to take him seriously, when we call for a workout, he needs to be there. And then, hopefully if I'm looking at him, he got a little bit of talent. And, we'll take it from there. But that commitment piece, it's thrown around lightly. But you all know what I'm talking about. You have a workout and you hoping so-and-so is there. Just that feeling that when a kid's committed, you're not worried about that. You getting in your mind what we're gonna work on or what we're gonna practice for that day. And because I've seen it go both ways. I've had some kids that could really play that weren't as committed, and you looking up and I hope he's here, and so it's the commitment piece is just my big thing. That's simple and plain. Then after that we can get a plan.
Sounds about right. What should a student athlete visualize after being part of your program for about 1 to 4 years?
You hope a kid is committed to his books as well. And, because while we can be father figures and that kind of thing, we're not with them when they go home. So, you try to really focus on the books and, you hope they take study hall seriously when you have it. And, it's great when you get support from parents. That's big. That's big. But, I hope a kid when he's under me aspires to be, something better in life. And, before I got to Suitland, I probably just was saying, I hope every kid under me aspires to go to college. But the reality is, when I got to Suitland has a lot of programs. And I really just say a kid needs to leave high school ready for whatever their next step is. I know our football staff has a couple of guys that make good money as plumbers that came through Suitland in the plumbing program. So, it's I think it's our job just to push them in a direction of, that suits them. Every kid isn't a college kid. We hope they are. And of course, that's what we should be pushing, especially, let's be real. Most of them are black males anyway. And of course, we want them to aspire to be college students and get a degree so that they can be productive members of society. But some kids aren't. I've had a kid that he really should have been an electrician, but he was so set on following his hoop dreams, which I understood. But I just thought he could have even done more at Suitland for that, and I thought he'd have set himself up for a much better life. But you just want them to be prepared, for the future, simple and plain.
Man, that's great insight, man. I'm hearing the different viewpoints. So again, man, thank you for everything, man. The insight, for whether it was one-on-one, me and you talking, or from afar through different people. So I'm gonna pass it back to Coach O.
I appreciate that, Coach Wade. And similar to what all the coaches were saying, man, preparation is key. I ain't gonna tell you, when I first got the head coaching job at Bladensburg, the hardest thing that I had to do, and it's funny that you said that about Morgan Wood, because it makes a lot of sense. I had to get prepared for Coach George McClure's flex offense, and to teach my kids that the day before a game was extremely difficult. So what we did was we actually made that a part of our offense. So every tryout, and John to tell you, when a tryout at Bladensburg High School, and for you to make the team your first couple of weeks, we run the flex offense. If you can learn the flex offense, it may be simple, but if you can learn it in 2 to 3 days, you got you a spot on the team. And that, I appreciate you for that as well. So just to let you know that, I know you laugh because you like looking at me like I'm crazy, but that's what we do, man. I really appreciate you for that. Just going forward, man. So we appreciate you being a legend, not just in our county, man, just across the board. It is a great deal to have you on here. Likewise, from all the coaches to you. But we wanted to spin it a little bit, and hopefully you can fill us in on this one. We want to give you the opportunity to ask a coach or the coaches a question that you may want to know from them, and pick our brains just a little bit. It ain't got to be about X's and O's, but something about PG County basketball and our inspirations and how we decided we wanted to coach basketball.
Well, let me say this: that all the coaches here, I know Dez. I remember him from high school. It's funny, he more, y'all made me feel old. It's in a funny way. But I can honestly say, I haven't since Will in our league. I don't really see him, like I see you all. But I can tell you that I watched all y'all grow, and it's big. It's because sometimes I see coaches and I say to myself, they coach young. But I see them mature, because if you true your craft, you're going to mature. You're going to realize I'm not the same coach I was at 19, 20. And that's been just interesting to me, and I almost laughed at myself, because I'm like, I play him too. Like, he wasn't doing that last year. So he did a little bit of homework. But, I guess my question for Will and Dez is, what are some similarities in the county that you coach in to Prince George's County, and what are some differences you see? Because even though, Will, you're an Anne Arundel guy, you're around PG basketball enough that I know you have some insight on that. I'm just talking anything. The style of play, the commitment of kids. What's some differences and some similarities you've seen?
Well, I know as far just in our county, I noticed that a lot of our basketball players tend to play more sports. And I mean, I feel like in PG County, it's football, basketball, and track if you decide to play another sport. Where in our county, like this year, I had kids on my team that played football, soccer, baseball, you know what I mean? Unified sports, which is good, working with our special needs kids. So that's one of the biggest differences that I see, is that I know a lot of schools in our county, especially my school, I don't have a team. I'll never have a team full of basketball-only kids. I'm always going to have, I might have 4 guys that play AAU, and then I might have 3 that play club soccer and 2 play club lacrosse and stuff like that. And I know a style of play, I think that PG County, I think your officials let the game, I think your game is more physical. One thing I noticed when my team goes to PG County or go to Baltimore, even the SMAC starting to get like this too. They're very aggressive. and officials not calling touch fouls. And I'm not saying we don't have good officials, because I mean we have good officials in our league, but I think the game is called differently, and that's why I know when we come over to your side of town, we better be ready to be physical, because in your county, if we come over that side and we look timid, they're not going to take the foot off the gas. You know what I mean? I say that when we played you guys that one year, I always said that was the both years, because we played 2 years in a row. I thought the difference in the game was the first year we played you guys, we were kind of like intimidated. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's a different style.
Yeah, they were big, good guards. That following year, you know what I mean? I thought we felt more confident. That's why the game was closer, because we had already played against you guys the week before, you know what I mean, the year before. So I think, you know, those are some of the differences from playing against PG County teams.
Okay. All right.
I mean, some of those are like dead on. I mean, from me just coming over to the Montgomery County side, the first thing you notice is, of course, the reffing is a little bit different, because during the regular season it's 2-man. I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's an adjustment to the ref will come over and say, "Hey, man, like this thing is kind of too fast for us to catch everything, so bear with me." So that was the adjustment coming from PG, where, man, somebody holding somebody on the baseline, he blowing. I would say to the style of play. I mean, basketball is basketball, but there's a certain intensity or aggression, like Coach Will said, that I would say PG's kind of unmatched. Like, everybody's trying to punk everybody, whether it's from the coaching standpoint of the mindset or the players. Like, everybody's just trying to get after it. Like, it's their last. They giving it everything they got. And not to say that Montgomery County basketball doesn't do that. It's just sometimes it's just different on that, whether a kid's more finesse and he can play. But that just is like, even the best, and some Montgomery County teams have it, the best player is aggressive as well, and he kind of brings that team along and gets them to be aggressive as well. But just in PG County, it's like everybody from 1 through 15 coming out, and it's a dogfight every night.
And we don't have middle school ball in our county too. That's a big difference too. You know what I mean? So I mean, it kind of helps us, because then these privates can't sniff like they do at your guys' middle school games. But you know, it's. I mean, it'd be nice if we had middle school ball, but you know, unfortunately, you know, we can't have it.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and the last thing, in Montgomery County, they have like the consortiums where kids can kind of pick their schools. So you got Blake, you can go to Blake, you can go to Springbrook, you can go to Paint Branch. So it just changes the element a little bit. Whereas in PG, you know, man, I'm getting the kid from here. And it's kind of like easy. Like, I can go a little bit more to the middle school games, but in Montgomery County, you got a wider range of middle school games that you got to kind of get out to and see what's happening.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, so I mean, that was great insight. Thank you for that question, Coach. We about to get up out of here, man. We really want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak with you like you would online versus in person. You the same way. That's one thing. One of the great things I can say about you. You always steadfast and always being able to reach and talk to and ask questions, and you do things the legendary way. And that's one of the reasons why your name was one of the first names that came up in our chat about who we need to bring on next. So we want to say thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I hope. Hey, if you all need panelists, let me know. You know, just anything to kind of keep me in the game. I appreciate you all having me. I'm serious. I really was honored to be on here. So keep it up, guys.
All right, and also too, tomorrow we're gonna start about 12. We usually start about 12, but tomorrow, just letting everybody know, tomorrow we're gonna honor Coach Burks tomorrow. His viewing is tomorrow. We're gonna do that at around 2:30. So we just want to give a shout out tomorrow. Shows will be dedicated to Coach Burks tomorrow. So thank you so much, Coach.
Good dude. All right, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, take care.
Stronger than one. Making plays, open J's, and the open run. If we talking about breaks and shooters filling lanes, all my dogs is down for war. You can tell how they train. Coaches coach and players play, but they learn from each other. If the roles are reversed, Jason Kidd, we assist one another. Making strides for a ship in the regular season, lacing up these nights, a band of brothers turn into some demons. Through the season, spring to fall, we gon' see who is working. When the winter hit the surface, gon' see who deserve it. Left competition in the dust, now the opposite deserted. Only lions in my circle, we hungry for purpose. Nothing's given, all these stripes, you can see that I earned them. Can't fuck the system, take the knowledge and study and learn it.